there, Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Surprise in Arizona. Hope you're having a super fantastic, sparkling day. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast, number 1904, Building the Excitement. Yes. So if you haven't heard yet, we're moving to New Zealand next year, back home. And yes, there is some downsides to it with the people that I'm going to be leaving behind here in the States, but I am planning on coming back and visiting. You're not just going to go down there. But what are some of the things that... what are some of the things you look forward to when you move? So I sort of like, how can you build the excitement for moving? Because people are going to be like, oh my gosh, we've got to deal with the movers. We've got to get this done. We've got to, your lists are like, we were talking about lists last night and having all these huge lists about things that you need to see and do and just taking them and breaking them down into smaller steps so that you can do just one step at a time, and just slowly over time, things will start falling into place, which I have started noticing is happening, which is awesome. My one of my brothers back in New Zealand, he keeps going, he says, what can I do to help? What can I do to help? He is super excited that I'm coming home. I'm super excited to see him again. And so he was like, what can we do to help? What can we do to help? And I was trying to think, what can I get him to do to help me with things? And so I was looking at my list and I thought, well, hang on. My brother's a bit of an electronic whiz. He used to do the soundboards in church and all that sort of, he had the big boards with all the buttons and dials and switches and slides, and I love those things. I had no idea what any of them were, but I will sit there and play with dials and slides and buttons and switches, and I would totally screw it up, but he could operate one of those things like nobody's business. And so I thought, well, let me ask. And so I said to him, I sat down last night on Facebook Messenger and I sent him a message saying, well, you know all of this stuff. So what stores in New Zealand? Because I know which ones to go to over here, but I have no clue at home. Some of them I do have a bit of a clue on, because some of those brands that I that were there when I used to live in New Zealand are still around, but there's also new ones as well. So I sent him a message going, hey, I'm going to need to set up my big screen. I'm going to need to set up a big screen TV. I want surround sound installed. I want a receiver so that I can put the DVD player / Blu-ray, multi-region, because if you didn't know, DVDs and Blu-rays are region specific. And so in New Zealand, we have they run a different format on DVDs and Blu-ray to what we do here in the States. So I have about 1,000 DVDs and Blu-rays that all are geared for running on a US programmed DVD player / Blu-ray. Yes, I could take mine down there and do the power supply switch thing. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know. I got to read the back of the thing, see if it automatically converts. But my brother said, hey, we've got these ones that do multi-regions. So that was one of the first things that he had told me earlier on after he found out I was coming to New Zealand. So then I was sort of got to get it all set up with my surround sound and, basically build my home theater. So I need a good place to go to where I'm going to be able to get the stuff. So he was rattling off a couple of stores a couple of brand stores I could go to. And I was like, oh yeah, I know a couple of those. What's this one? I haven't heard of that one before. So then we got chit-chatting about other things and about how I was giving up I had to give up my air fryer. I have to give up my Instant Pot. I have to give up my Vitamix, which is 25 years old and still going like it's brand new. And, just these appliances I have to give up that I'm kind of upset about. So then he started searching on sites in New Zealand, and I kind of and I've got my spreadsheet going of things that I'm going to be replacing when I get down to New Zealand once I get my place. And so he starts researching on his side and goes, well, here, this is what we have. And I'm going, yeah, no, don't like that one. I says, what about that? And I says, this is the one that I like. And, for the air fryer, I already have the website for the web fryer on my list. And I'm putting in these different websites as I find the things that I like, or they sound like they would be the good fit for me. We're putting the websites. So then he starts going in and he goes, and I said, I need my Instant Pot, and this is how big it is, and and converting it to metric. He finds one that's a little bigger than what I have, but it's the Instant Pot brand. It has the eggs on there. That was my one requirement for my Instant Pot, is it had to have the egg program on there, because that's how I cook. That's how I boil my eggs, is I put them into the Instant Pot. I do a dozen at a time, and they come out beautifully. They're easy to peel, and they just get cooked to perfection. So we were going through finding all sorts of stuff last night, and we're just going backwards and forwards and chatting and all of that. And then I'm like, well, and then I'm thinking, okay, we have Office Depot over here where they have a lot of office furniture. They have all, your printers and everything else like that, and all your office supplies and stuff. And I'm like, I don't recall ever seeing one like that. So I said, do do you have a big office supply store down there where you can go in and you get everything from staples through to furniture? And he comes back and he gives me the website to go to that. So I'm like, awesome, this is really cool. And then he shows me a picture of his desk, and then I'm like, yeah, no, I need one that's longer than that one. And I said, in fact, my ideal would be to build a desk that goes from wall to wall in the third bedroom, or a study if they have a separate study. Wall to wall desk, similar to what my parents built. Because when we were living in Waitara, during my high school years, it's the longest place in New Zealand I ever lived. Yeah, I was 30 when I left New Zealand. I'd lived in 13 different towns and places. But I lived there for 6 years, and my parents built an addition onto the side off the living room, which was their office. And it was a really cool place. And on both sides, they built in these 2 desks, and stained them, sealed them, everything. Mum's side was with her sewing machine on it. Dad's side was with whatever he had on his side. They both had their own separate desk, and it just ran the whole length of the office. And it was built in. It was awesome. And there was plenty of space on the floor that we were able to put a twin mattress down there. So when we had visitors come, my room was usually the one that was handed over to them to use. And I slept on a mattress on the floor in the office. It was a really cool room. I loved it in there. And so I said, similar to what Mum and Dad built when we were in Waitara. And he said, like, oh, yeah, that'll be really good. He says, you'll be able to get Dad to build that for us. I can build too. I know how to use wooden. I know how to use tools. I said, but the really cool part will be going, tool shopping with my dad to get my garage kitted out with everything that I'm going to need and all that sort of stuff. So, and so then my brother sends me a picture of these tools that he had ordered, and they were all yellow. And I turn around and says, well, do they come in pink and purple? And he's like, no. But then, at that point, my mum texts us. But before then, we had, I've been asking about craft supplies, because over here we have Michael's and Joanne's, and Hobby Lobby and that sort of thing for all the craft supplies. And so I said, where do I get my craft supplies from? And do you have a big store that you can go in and you get all the craft supplies? And my sister-in-law says that she actually shops at several different ones. And so we're actually going to arrange a girls' day to go craft store browsing, because I am going to need a sewing machine. And so, I need to go get a sewing machine and a sewing table, but I don't know how big of a table I need till I get my house and figure out where the sewing machine's going to go. Maybe if I get the long desk and have it going from one end of the room to the other, I can have a sewing end and I can have a working end. Maybe that's the thing to that. So we'll see. Depends on the layout of the room. And so when it comes to going to a sewing machine and all that stuff, I'm gonna, we can go out for a girls' day out. We'll get Mum to come with us, and the 3 of us, Mum, me, and my sister-in-law, we can all go craft shopping. So I've already organised that, and now I'm going to organise another day to go shopping with my dad to get tools, which he will be in his element with that one. But then, and as I'm texting back my mum and dad, because my mum texts me every day, so as I'm texting her back last night, I'm telling her about this conversation I'd had with my brother and what we're talking about. And so I told him about the yellow tools, and Mum says, oh yeah, the colors typically, Dad says the color usually is for a particular brand. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. And then the next thing I get, ding, ding. And my brother had found a pink toolkit with a pink tool bag and a purple toolkit with a purple tool bag. Oh my gosh. And it just had just the basic stuff in there. And I'm like thinking, I'm probably going to take all of that with me. But when I get my power tools, I want pink and purple. Who knows? We'll see. But so we had a lot of fun with that. And it's just building that excitement up. But some of the cool things is that, on my shopping list that I had yesterday, right at the top, the very first thing there is chocolate. So I can figure out where my chocolate shelf is in my refrigerator and stock that thing up. Because there's just nothing like, well, there are some better chocolates out there than New Zealand chocolate. I will admit that. Especially the European chocolates, like the German chocolate, Swiss chocolate, Belgium chocolate. They are very, very, very creamy, and New Zealand has a creamy chocolates as well. But I put them up there with that. I'm looking forward to putting New Zealand chocolate back on there. And then somehow today we got talking about ice cream on cold days, curling up in front of a fireplace and eating ice cream. And I was asked what was my favorite, and I says anything with chocolate in it. chocolate based ice cream, and then put cookies in there, brownies, whatever, anything except peanut butter. And I said, but if I'm in New Zealand, I'm getting Hokey Pokey ice cream, which is a vanilla-based ice cream that has like honeycomb. Honeycomb's the only thing I can think of it. It's, yeah, honeycomb malt ball type, that middle center of the malt balls, that's threaded throughout the ice cream along with some caramel type stuff in there. It's just really good ice cream. So we got talking about that, but it's a way of building the excitement of the fact that, you know, I'm going to get to go and do a girls' day, a shopping day with my mum and my sister-in-law. I have never done a girls' day shopping with my sister-in-law. My mum and I used to go and do girl day. We used to go and go girl day shopping, and when my parents came over and visited us, Brad and Dad would do things that would tackle I had a daddy do list. So Dad and Brad would tackle that list, and Dad would be teaching Brad how to use the tools and things. And they built, we came home one time and they had built this whole entire workshop storage area at the front end of our garage, at the back of the garage. And they just used the materials that they didn't have to go out and get anything. They just used whatever materials we had already on property and stuff. And, but yeah, the two of them would always work together. And when we came down to New Zealand, there'll be days when Mum and I would go off and leave the guys doing whatever they wanted to do. So it was really funny. It was a really fun time. So to be able to now include my sister-in-law in this is going to be awesome. I have another sister-in-law who's in a different town, whereas my one brother and sister-in-law that live close to near my parents, and then my other brother and his wife, they live a few hours drive away. And so maybe we could do something when we go up there. But it's just building that excitement of knowing what I get to do now, what I can look forward to, things like going, exploring New Zealand again. That's my favorite one, is I'm going to get to rediscover New Zealand and do all these little trips with Zeffie around New Zealand to show all the places that I've been, that I've lived, that I've visited over the years, go to some places, the little small areas of New Zealand I have never been to. So I'm looking forward to that. It's being able to go for these nice long walks in the morning and not have to worry about the heat. That's the biggest thing, is that, Arizona, I have loved living here for the last 18, couple of years, 3 years, whatever it is I've been here in the place. But the heat in the summertime, no, thank you. Went out walking this morning. It was 66 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 31 degrees. No, hang on, that's not right. It was 18 degrees centigrade. The high today was 83, which is 31 degrees Celsius. So, it's cooling down. It's cooling down. I mean, I think it's tomorrow or the next day we're going to be even lower in the temperature. It's going to be like 56 degrees Fahrenheit, which I think is like low teens. I think it's just above 10 degrees. I don't know. I'm still working on I'm working on learning metric again before I get down to New Zealand, so I don't look like such an idiot when I get there and I'm putting everything in miles and feet and inches and stuff. But it's going to be fun. And so we're getting my brother involved with helping me find things that I'm going to need when I get down there, and bookmarking those pages or putting the website onto that spreadsheet was a lot of fun last night to be able to do that. And he now feels like he's part of this move and what's happening, and building the excitement with him. And I'm still doing the house hunt thing, and still annoyed my house sold on October the 6th. And I found out what it sold for, and it was less than what they were asking for, less than they have different ways of selling houses in New Zealand. There's tenders, there's auctions, there's no offer negotiations. You'll get things where it will say no offer below this particular, they'll put a price there, and you've got to offer either that or above. But this one was actually below what the house sold for was below what their threshold was. And so there's very different ways that they sell houses. Whereas here in the States, most of the houses, they put a price there, and that's the price you offer, or you go above it or below it based on what it is. In New Zealand, it's a little different. You sell by tender, you sell by auction. There's just all these different ways. So I got to figure those out. But we'll get there. We'll get there. And you involve a lawyer with closing. Yes, in New Zealand, you have to hire a lawyer to close on a property. You don't do that here in the States. Yeah, it's very, very different, a very different way of selling houses down there. So, you know, it's building that excitement. It's looking for different things and finding things like, oh, you know, when I'm looking at maps to see where my parents' place is in relation to the house that I'm looking at, you know, it puts different other things on the map. I'm going, oh, okay. All right. Now that's where they are. That's where this is. Where's the shopping center, the main shopping center in the area? And so go and find that. Oh, that's not true. Yeah, I can walk that. Walk to the library. You know, we're going to get a lot of walking in, And my parents do this cycling trail. It's called the Kapiti Coast Cycling Trail, and it goes from was it Paikakariki up to Peka Peka right now, which is, I think they said like 40 something kilometers in one way. And then they're going to go and they're building the track beyond that it's going to end up being like 70 kilometers long, which is around 54 miles of coastline that you can cycle on. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And I haven't been on a bike since, I think I worked out the last time I was on a bike was 2004. So I haven't been on a bike in 20 years. But apparently I'm going to be going biking with my folks on the cycling trail. So I'm looking forward to that. So there's all these different things. And when I go down to New Zealand, I get to go to church with my parents. I get to meet some of their friends. We would go and have lunch at the local hardware store, which had a cafe there, and got to know some of their friends. So I've been emailing backwards and forwards with one of their friends. And she's excited that I'm coming down as well. I think she's just as about excited as my parents are. So that's a lot of the building the excitement to get down there and keeping that vibration high. And the reason we're building the excitement is to keep the vibration high. So when the little knocks come that try to knock you off track, my vibration is up too high for the negative stuff to try and knock me off the pedestal type of thing. So that's why I'm building the excitement of, you know, being able to go and visit with family and visit with friends and hop in the car and go drive an hour up the road and go do something there, or, you know, we'll go over the hill into the Hutt Valley or something and do something over there. But it's all these different things I'll be able to do, like including remembering my mum and dad. One of their biggest concerns is me getting behind the wheel of a car in New Zealand, because the steering wheel is on the other side, is on the right side of the car, and you drive on the left side of. Hang on, is that right? Hang on. Shoulder in the middle, yes. So I have to remember whatever shoulder is against the door, that has to be by the center line of the road. So yes, I would be driving on my steering wheel will be on the right side of the car, opposite what we are here in the States, and the car will be on the left side of the road. And so I have to remember that. And there was one time I was down there with Brad, and we were up in one of the cemeteries in Auckland, visiting where my grandparents' ashes are buried, and then great-grandparents and second great-grandparents, I think, were the other ones. And so Mum and Dad had walked on down to where this grave was that we were looking for. And so they gave me the keys and said, bring the car down. I'm driving down and realize I'm completely on the wrong side of the road in the cemetery. Thankfully, it was a cemetery and not a busy road. And then I thought back, you know, in all my times in driving here in the US, there's only been twice in the almost 28 years I've been in the States where I have actually taken a left turn and ended up on the wrong side of the road. I've only done it twice. And thankfully, there were no other car. Well, one of them was into a shopping center, and this van was coming down, and I'm just turned into the parking lot, and I suddenly realize I'm on the wrong side of the road. And I just sit there and look at this guy, and I go, and he just sits there and starts laughing. But he backed up enough that I could get around the island to go and park. And I'm just like, I'm sorry. But I've only done that twice in 28 years. So I figured we'll be good. I've already done it once in New Zealand. I just got to do it once more and we're fine. No, I don't need to do it once more. I want to do less than what I did here. So everything I'm doing in that is to build the excitement for moving down there so that we keep the vibration high. So when the knocks come, they're just going to bounce off and they're not going to be a big deal. So yes, so, you know, even when I'm talking with moving companies and they're giving me estimates, one of my questions to these moving companies when I talk with them is going to be, from the quotes that you give people, once you've actually packed everything, put it into the container and weighed it, what is the average percentage of difference between what you quoted and what the final number is? Because I want to build that into the budget so that I know that, okay, if they're quoting me this figure, there's a possibility it could, on average, go up this amount based on once everything's finally packed into the container, how much the container do I take up, and what's the actual weight and that sort of thing. So keep the vibrations high. That's all I can say is get into that vibration mode and keep the vibrations high. Right now, it's time for chocolate before we go to Yes, before I go on my evening walk. And my puppy is protesting at the moment because we're late for our walk. How do I get into there? It is. I couldn't find the front of the box. So we're looking at our Choc Bliss from Turkey. Still got my chocolate cream. Haven't had any since then. All right, we're going to go with this one. Going to make it quick tonight. All right, so this one here is, looks like it's got nuts in there. We're going to do this one. And this one is, where is it? Okay. I gotta turn this way to get the light. Let's see. Oka milk chocolate with hazelnuts. A dreamy indulgence awaits. Immerse in rich chocolate and crunchy hazelnuts, harmoniously blended for a symphony of taste and texture. I'm loving these descriptions on these bars. Experience the perfect balance of sweetness and nuttiness in each bite. Elevate your senses with this heavenly treat that transforms ordinary moments into delightful reveries. Okay, that was the right word. So, hazelnut and chocolate. Let's see. This one had a slight melting. You can tell that when chocolate's been, oh, this is a different bar. It's lumpy of nuts. This is good. This tastes like this, but it's crunchy. So this is the crunchy version of this. And this is better than Nutella. Oh, nice, creamy. Nice crunch in there. You just gotta have a second one. Definitely a good balance between the hazelnuts and the sweetness. I'm being very good because this is really, really good. But yeah, this tastes just like the chocolate cream, the tube of chocolate cream, but with crunchy nuts in it. So you have the smooth of the cream and then you've got the crunchy here. Almost like peanut butter, but this is with hazelnuts. And with that, we are out of here. Go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening, and we'll be back tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific. Hei konera.